Well, hello. Greetings from St. Paul Lutheran Church, small but mighty church on the South Hill of Stillwater, overlooking the beautiful St. Croix River. And I'm here with Jenny today and children,
Children.
kids, especially young kids, um, children in church, children in worship.
Yep.
Boy, where do we start with that one? I
Uh,
guess I guess the first thing would be, are children allowed in worship?
yes.
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
And I think that is very obvious because we don't have like children's church or take them out of church in
Hmm.
the middle of it, like after the children's sermon or anything. Um, that children are welcome and they're welcome to be them.
They're
You know,
welcome to be them. I
and,
like that.
and you know what that means.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
There's a little poking and
Yep.
there's giggling and there might be some whining.
Yep. I mean,
And
children make noises in church. Is that okay?
I think so. Yeah, they do. And I think it's okay. Like
I think it's great.
it's so fun. And parents think that they get looks. And they
Yeah.
probably do get looks. I'm not going to say that
Yeah.
they don't, but like when I look it's not that I'm mad or upset.
No.
I'm like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on that's so intriguing over
Yeah.
there or whatever
Yeah.
with the laughs or the giggles. And some people would say that children don't get much out of church
Mm.
because it's like over their heads or whatever. But
Well,
I think that is
yeah.
false too.
Well, I mean, just step back. I mean, it is kind of true. We do talk a lot of adult things in
Hmm.
church, and so certainly they aren't understanding all the adult talk. But I think children also notice a lot of stuff
Yep.
that adults don't notice,
Yep.
which is why it's so wonderful to have them in worship. So maybe say a little bit more about that. What you've known. What do children see that adults don't?
Yeah, well, for example, when we had a baptism with, kind of older infants or whatever,
Hmm.
um, the way that they were just so fascinated with the water.
Yeah.
And they don't know exactly what that water did for them,
No.
but they were just exploring with it and playing with it and were just so like intrigued. And that's why I think the phrase have faith like a child is so true, is
Yeah.
because we should be experiencing things and touching things and
Yeah.
wondering about things. And I think children do that so well with feeling things and poking things and just, and then when they get older asking questions or
Yeah.
being curious or
Yeah.
just like with communion, when they get to a certain age, they're like, what is this? And
Mhm.
different things. Like they're just very, very curious. And I think that we all should be as curious as
Yeah.
a child.
You're reminding me because we've had a couple baptisms here of like kids that were getting close to one. Maybe some of them were a little over one, but they see that water and like they know instantly like water gives joy,
Yep.
and they just start playing in that water. And I just think, I when that happened at the last baptism, I knew I couldn't stop because I'm the adult, right? Got to keep
Yeah.
moving on with the baptismal. But I really just wanted to just stop and just have people just watch.
Yeah.
I remember a few years ago during the pandemic, I took my daughter to uh, an outdoor park that had a big water fountain, the kind that would have water spraying onto the sidewalk. And I was filming a little remembrance of baptism for our online pandemic era
Yeah.
worship, and I knew I was doing that, and suddenly I saw my daughter. She was like 6 or 7 at the time, and just running and playing in the water. So when I did the Thanksgiving for baptism online, that's what I put in as a video. It was just my daughter playing in the water
That's
the whole
awesome.
time. That was so much fun. You mentioned children making noise, and again, because I'm a pastor, I start thinking of Bible stories. But the part of the gospel for Palm Sunday every year, one of these years I'm going to pause at this more, but there's Jesus coming into the temple, and the children are shouting for Jesus. They're making noise and they're shouting. And at one point, the disciples or the religious leaders, I can't remember who, they tell Jesus, "Command these children to be quiet." and Jesus just smiles and quotes one of the Psalms and says, "Out of the mouths of babes, you have prepared praise for yourself."
Yeah.
So he's like, Jesus is saying in the moment, you know what? You know who gets it the most right now are the children. They're celebrating and they're affirming my ministry and my presence, and they're going to make lots of noise. So, yeah, we don't. And it reminds me too that Jesus. There's very few men in the ancient world where we have stories of them hugging children or picking them up or blessing them or touching them or being with them. It's very rare.
Yeah.
You hardly find that.
Yeah.
Because in much of the ancient world, children were they were like undeveloped adults.
Yeah.
Like they were kind of almost subhuman in a way.
Yeah.
But Jesus just does the total opposite.
Yep.
So I think maybe it's just people with names that begin with J. But I see you just recognize the full humanity of a child, and you remind me of what someone said, like, yes, our children grow up. And sometimes we ask them, like, what are you going to be when you grow up? But really, they are full people now.
Yeah.
They are who they are now.
Yeah.
And we're not sort of, impatiently waiting for them to grow into something else. I mean, we celebrate who they are today.
Yep.
And the gifts they bring today.
And that's joy and laughter and crying and
Yep.
everything else that comes with the toddler.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever had children talk back at you, like during children's words?
Oh, yeah. All the time. And it's so fun.
Yeah.
Because they you don't know what's going to come out of their mouths or what they're going to say. So you always have to be ready for everything.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of an example right off, but I do have a story. As I was preaching when I was up in Fergus Falls at Bethlehem, and a little girl came up to the pulpit when I was preaching, and so I just picked her up and kept preaching.
Yeah. That's great.
And I think some people thought, but it was.
We're adults. We can multitask.
It was totally natural, And then when she wanted to go, then I put her down, and she ran off, and then I kept preaching, and then we were done. And it was actually a very cool moment. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, I mean, it was a little bit of a different time. So, children were seen but not heard. And, of course, I was in a very, family that, not super strict parents, but it was pretty clear, you got to behave in church, be quiet and all that. But one of the things my dad always did, and I'd never forgotten this, like when it came time to sing the hymns, he would stand up, but then he would have me stand on the pew. So that my head was at the same level as all the adults, actually like a few inches higher.
Yeah. And
I always loved that because I could see, and see everything. And then my dad would take my hand in his hand, and he would point to each of the notes of the hymn as they went along, Yeah. But just little things like that. I mean, it doesn't feel like a big thing when you're a kid, but looking back, it's like, wow, that was really important. Like he was making me feel like I was included.
Yeah.
Like I'm a part, like, okay, now you sit there in the pew while we do our adult thing. No, it was like, no, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I think I remember my mom holding me, while singing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, well, I had an experience, my oldest son talking back when I preached. And I think I've told you this before. I told a few people, but it was the story where Jesus tells the disciples, he's sending them out to preach the good news. And he says, don't carry an extra bag, only carry one, tunic, and,
Yeah.
Travel lightly, right? And live day by day. Well, I started preaching that, and my son Thomas started arguing with me in church, talking back out loud. And he's like, "No, Dad, you're wrong. When we go to Grandma and Grandpa's, you always tell us we have to pack extra toys, and we have to pack extra clothes, and we have to pack all these extra things. So you're wrong, Dad. We should prepare and plan ahead." So, and I thought, yeah, I mean, he was naming though what was a real tension in that story.
Yep.
Right? Like we kind of hear Jesus say, "Yeah, do this, do that," and we just all politely nod and smile.
Yep.
But no, Thomas is arguing back.
Yep.
And I thought, the kids, I'm sure you've experienced, they just show no inhibition.
No.
They say what's on their mind.
Yep. They don't hold back.
Yeah, which is why they chuckle, why we
Yeah.
chuckle at them sometimes at children's words with some of the things they say.
Yeah.
And yet, even though it is lighthearted to us as adults, to them it's actually kind of serious.
Yep.
It's a real concern, and that's what I've always
Yeah.
appreciated you with kids. I mean, like you take them where they're at.
Yeah.
You say, "Oh yeah, that's a really good point." Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. So maybe kind of a practical question: where should children be in church? Like where's the ideal place for their families to plant themselves with their young kids? What would you say?
Oh, I would say closer to the front
Okay.
of the church, because then they can see things.
Yeah.
I think parents like to sit in the back and hide, but because children are so curious about things and want to see things, I think, you don't need to be a front rower, but closer to the...
I've got one family that's a front row family here.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, but yeah, closer up so they can see things and
Yeah.
think that they're part of it. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And even though kids certainly don't do a lot of things, but the adult things in worship, there's still a lot of things they can do
yeah,
that they participate in. What are some examples of that, and where they even lead us?
well, children's sermon,
Mhm.
obviously.
Where they might preach to us once in a while.
What they might preach to us once in a while. When they come up for communion,
Mm-hmm.
when we pray at the end of something, they can either pray for us or they say their amens and different things like that, and then just asking questions, I guess.
Yeah. I've seen kids at church, they'll carry up the offering basket.
Oh, yeah.
We put them in charge of the money. I love it.
Yeah, I
they
forget
just-
about that
They
one.
do that.
Ushering,
Oh yeah, ushering.
and maybe helping light the candles with the adult.
Oh, the fire too. Yeah, money
Yeah.
and fire. That we should put
Yep,
them in charge of
yep.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love when I've seen, and some of our children, receive communion here from a very early age. We leave that up to families
Yeah.
as to far as what's an appropriate time for them to receive, and then we provide instruction and teaching. But really, there's no one magic age. It can happen
Yeah.
at any time. But I love how the children, just the look in their eyes and the way they hold their hands open, just like this is like the best thing in the world
Yep.
right now in that moment. They're just so in the moment.
Yeah.
And sometimes as adults we get stuck in our routines,
Yeah.
and before we know it, we've received communion and we're heading back to our seat. Wait, what just happened? But kids, they're just like they're just soaking up that moment.
Yeah.
So thanks for soaking up so many magical moments with
Yeah.
our kids, Jenny.
Yeah. Bring your kids.
Yes, absolutely.
They are welcomed.
I've had 3 of them. They're not so little anymore. But yeah, give them free rein. Come early. Let them walk around the sanctuary. I'm happy to do. Jenny's happy to do show and tell. Show
Yeah.
them, what's behind the pulpit and all of that kind of stuff. Not to put children down, but sometimes I feel like they're a little bit like our animal companions, dogs. Like they got to walk the area just to get comfortable with it and kind of know the territory. And
Yeah.
so, And I would say too, I'm totally cool if during worship you need a break with your kids. Yeah, get up, walk out,
Yep.
move around. I've seen families kind of just circle around the back side of the sanctuary or
Yep.
step out a few minutes, go to the drinking fountain, and yeah, take lots of breaks. So
Yep.
yeah. Well, thanks for welcoming our children here and for setting the tone for us in so many great ways.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.